Bonjour.
Restraint, I think the word is like not trying to do too much with everything, and that's still my sort of food today. Like restrain, like if you have to put 100 things on the plate to make something taste nice, then for me, you know, what you started with isn't right.
Yo,
We're back.
we're back, baby.
Back again. There's a cheesy Eminem song there somewhere. I was just listening to Eminem at the gym.
Alright, nice.
I don't know why.
I like how you're working in I Go to the Gym into the podcast.
Yeah. I started working out, and so I think,
I was
things
on
are
my-
getting serious.
On my 300th push up. And I just thought, oh, that's Eminem playing.
I feel like Napoleon Dynamite.
Wasn't even out of breath.
Fuck it. Good to... Wow. Oh, I keep getting... Maria's going mad that we swear so much in the intros, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how we talk. That's the whole vibe we've got going on.
It's good to be back, man.
Yeah, it's been a break. It's an unintended break.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So we'll explain where the hell we've been for the last few weeks. We wanted this episode to come out a few weeks ago. I was always planning to go to Ireland for Easter, have over 2, maybe 3 weeks off or something like that. But then my laptop broke before I went to Ireland, which caused me stress and made me want to throw a laptop at a wall. I swore lots of times. Got that sorted, went to Ireland, and now we're back. So that's where we've been. If you've missed us,
Yeah.
we're back. We might take breaks, but don't worry, we'll always be back. We love doing this, man. So while I was in Ireland, looks like you have been having a fucking spectacular time.
Mate, I've eaten everywhere. It's ridiculous.
I was just looking at the social, he's out again.
You know what? It was Easter, and then there was the kids were off, so I booked time off. And you know what it's like. You book time off, you want to make the most of it. Yeah. So I've eaten loads of places.
I was going to say, I'm making the most of it for us. It's going out and eating.
Yeah, I've eaten some cracking places. We'll go over them over time, but
Yeah. I mean, I'll stick most of it on the newsletter now. So obviously, if you haven't subscribed to that, Breaking Bread Bite Size, all the links will be in the notes. Go and subscribe to that and have a look at that newsletter. We'll tell you where we've been, places we recommend, all that jazz.
yeah, a lot of the place we've been before: Isaac's, cocktail bar at the Grand Mandalay, Rabina again, which is always fantastic. Pizza, just, all the usual places. But I've been somewhere brand new, somewhere in Solihull.
Yeah.
A bit of a link to the podcast.
I was going to
as
say,
well.
you're building that up. We're going to talk a lot about him now for the next
Yeah, I know people
hour
have
and a half.
clicked on his picture to get on the podcast, so they know what's going on. But now I got to eat there at Toffs, Solihull.
Yeah, man. Very lucky. So this episode is with the awesome Rob Palmer, the owner of
Yeah,
New
the
Bar
owner.
Toffs. It's not the
Yeah,
new
it's set
owner.
up a place in Solihull.
Most
unreal
people probably
food.
know him from Peel's, Hampton Manor, where he won a Michelin Star. Just massive talent. And the fact that it's decided now to open up in Solihull is just...
You know what?
I think we
Solihull's on the up,
messaged each
man.
other. We were like, yes, finally Solihull is a decent restaurant.
You know what? It's got a couple of good bits. It's got good cocktail bar, some street food,
Yeah.
Indian food, all good. It's nice to see just a nice fucking restaurant open up there.
Yeah, somewhere that you can go for your birthdays and wedding
You know what?
anniversaries.
We know stuff behind the scenes, and there's more coming to Solihull. It's nice to see Solihull's finally going somewhere, and you've got Solihull Council and Solihull Bid Team. They're really putting a push in, from what I can gather.
Oh, Solihull bid Tony Allen. It gets mentioned a few times in the podcast.
They're doing a
they're
lot to
really-
make Solihull better, and they're doing a good job, to be honest.
Yeah, hats off to him. Like, it's about time as well. About
Like, there's at
time.
least 2 places opening that's going to make a big difference on top of Toffs.
So the delay in the podcast coming out has actually helped you because you managed to go and eat there, man. What's it like?
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. I
Yeah.
did a treat day, so I just went by myself for a lunch, booked a day off work.
Which I think is a friggin' amazing idea, man. I don't think we take enough time to ourselves like when we're adults.
Well, that's
you know?
it. Like, I've got no issue going to a nice restaurant by myself. I know some restaurants don't like it because that's usually a table for 2 you're sitting on. But I was reading quotes from your man from St. John's down in London. He's like, it's the biggest compliment you can give a restaurant because one, There's no distraction. You're not gone there just to do something. You've gone there because you want to eat their food.
And he often goes and eats everywhere on his own anyway.
Yeah. So I've got no drama eating somewhere by myself.
Yeah, I mean,
It was great, but to be honest, it didn't feel like I was by myself because I was sat pretty much on the pass.
You were nearly mucking in with
I
the,
was in there. I could
shift.
see everything going on, so I was chatting to Robbie, who happened to be in front of me the whole time.
Standout course?
The duck. The main star of the show there's the duck. You know, I've got to give his bread a shout out as well, because, I mean, it was all good, but that duck course is something else.
Yeah.
Roasted on the
A lot of people talking about his bread, you know.
You know, he makes his own brown sauce as well.
Yeah.
Rob's brown sauce. It's crazy good.
Parma's brown sauce, maybe that's a new thing for the future.
Says you need
get
to-
him on Amazon.
As soon as I tried it, I was like, you got to bottle this, mate.
Yeah. But he says on the
100%.
podcast that sourdough is like, I think he said the starter from the sourdough has been there since it started at Peel's, or maybe even before then.
It's just crazy. It's not like a normal sourdough. It's more like a crumpet, bready sourdough. It's like until you have it, it's very hard to sort of describe. But I've not had much bread like that. Put it that way. It's very good.
Oh, awesome, man. Finally, Solihull has something to celebrate. Please get out there and support it, because, you know, once something good comes along, all of a sudden lots more seems to follow. Yes, so please get out and support it. Listen to this podcast with Rob. If you enjoy it, as ever, give us a like, rate, review, all that jazz. I've said that twice.
Yeah, well, it's doubly important. That's
I don't know why I'm talking about jazz so much.
Never heard the word jazz used so much.
No, I don't even.
Without
I've never
any
even
music
used
involved.
jazz.
And all that jazz.
But you know the crack. Just tell us how much you love us, because we have fragile egos.
Yeah, I want to know, man. Tell me.
And especially, go and tell Rob. Go and tell Rob. Say, Rob, listen, I heard you on Breaking Bread. Thought you were awesome, because that's a massive compliment to the show as well.
Yeah. I want book up and go, man, because that place is going to get very busy very quickly.
Definitely book up and go, please.
The longer it's there, the harder it's going to be to get a place there. It's the same thing happened with upstairs in Lichfield. I didn't book early on, and now, like, I think there's bookings open for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, it's that fully booked, so just get in while you can.
Yeah, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Palmer. Yeah, typical podcast fashion, man. I'm already recording, so
Oh, there we go. We're away.
that's us fresh out the... I don't know, I was going to call them... What are they called?
Fresh out the fryer.
They were the horses. What are they called?
Traps.
The gate.
Traps.
Traps. There we go.
Traps, that's the dogs. The traps.
Yeah, so better let everyone know who we're talking to. It's Rob Palmer. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Yourselves?
Yeah, good.
Was in.
Former head chef of Michelin Star Peels.
Yeah.
You took it to Michelin Star. Wasn't Michelin Star before you got there?
No.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, it weren't. But
We'll get to that, man.
they've retained it this year as well, so I'm pleased for them, because the two lads there work for me, so it's good news.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
gracious of you
nice.
to say that, man. You weren't just born a Michelin Star chef opening your own restaurant. How did it all start out, man?
In terms of getting into cooking, I don't really know. I just sort of enjoy cooking, and then thought, might as well try and do it as a career. I did it straight from school. It was like I fell into it. I didn't want to do it. Which is quite strange as well, because a lot of chefs quite often fall into it, don't they? But I did choose it as a career choice, and then sort of just, went for it. And then, obviously, 17, 18 years I've been in the industry now. Thought, why not? Let's do it.
What was it that made you want to get into cooking? Just look like an easy job.
I think I always
I'll take job.
I've asked this question.
That's easy
I
enough.
think it's because when I was a kid, sort of cooking was just coming on the telly quite a bit, wasn't it? And it probably did look a bit more pretty cool and a bit more glamorous than it actually is. But
Ready, steady, cook.
yeah, well, maybe. You had
Get
Ramsey,
the
sort of
you've seen
boiling
Ramsey.
point, boiling
Fuck this,
point
fuck
coming
you,
up,
fuck
and,
this. Yeah, I'm having a bit of that.
Yeah, and it probably looks a little bit more glamorous, and thought, yeah, why not? But yeah, that's what I say to people. I mean, I don't really know. That might not be it, but I just enjoy cooking as well at home. So
Was your family good cooks and stuff? Or
let's be careful what I say. My mum was a half decent cook. My nan, her mum was a really good cook. And my mum, she was all right. She did decent roast dinner and decent meals in the week. Her brother was a butcher in a wholesale in town, so he used to get every month. Like, he used to turn up with a shitload of meat, and he's all right to swear, isn't it?
Yeah.
He used to turn up with a shitload of meat once a month and sort of fill the freezer up, and it was like everything, sort of offal, all the old school stuff. And so I grew up eating like liver and heart and stuff like that, and I still love it now, to be fair. The only thing I can't eat is brain sort of thing. There's that turn brains, they're just wrong.
Yeah, I need to try lamb brains. I've got a
No,
recipe
you
for
don't.
lamb brain bag, and I keep
You don't.
St John's recipe, and I'm like, oh, shall I give it a go? And the missus is like, well, you'll be the only fucker doing it.
Yeah, lamb's hearts and livers and stuff like that. I love it. But brains and that.
It's unusual for a kid to like. Have you got kids now, or
Yeah.
would they eat any of that?
Nah.
What about tripe? You eat tripe?
Nah. I had it. I'm not going to mention where, but a really good, like a 2-star restaurant, and I thought if they can't make me enjoy it, then what's the point?
Just it's not something
Yeah.
that feels like it should be in your mouth when you chew.
Might,
You're like, this
might
can't
be
right.
amazing, but I just didn't enjoy it. So
No.
yeah.
We talking culinary college straight after school then?
No, I did an apprenticeship, so through Solihull College. Strangely, it weren't through Birmingham or anything. So I just did a level 2 apprenticeship, MVQ. That was it. I did 12 months as an apprentice and then went straight into it. Started at the Hilton at the NEC, to be fair, the big Hilton, and did 1 year there as an apprentice, and then stayed there for I think 2 or 3 years after that. Then it's one of them places. It's a good place to learn your trade, but then unless someone gets carried out in a box, then nobody gets a promotion. So,
Yeah.
it's one of them. Everyone stays there, and it's like I was never going to get promoted there. It's a big company, and I just thought I'm ready to move on now. And I went to the Forest in Dorwich then.
What was the hotel like? Was it a bit of a shock to the system? I suppose if you didn't know any better. Like,
What, the Hilton?
yeah, as in working.
Well,
in
as a
the hotel.
16-year-old, it was like this is what I thought it was, like loads of chefs everywhere. There must be about 100 chefs in that place. I just thought it was standard, even like, just chefs everywhere. It's like pastry had about 12 chefs. The main kitchen where I did all the banquets and events was like loads of them in there. And then I was in the F&B side, in the restaurant side, so I was always restaurant based. I've never been like events based at all, really. I did a little bit when I needed to, but I've always not shied away, but preferred the restaurant than doing weddings and events. And
Loved it straight away as soon as you walked in. Or?
I think so, yeah. Well, I must have done. I'm still
Must have
going.
done.
Still going now. I'm still going now. The hours were cushy there. That was a big shot, leaving there and going to somewhere that was like independently owned and having to sort of you put in owners' dinners on a plate as well as your own, and it was like to go from doing a cushy 39-hour week contract at Hilton to 70 hours working somewhere else. It was like, which is standard for the trade. It's not as bad as it's getting better, to be fair, and that's sort of what I want to try and sort of bring in as well, and bring working hours down in restaurant trade, because I've got 2 young kids. I don't want to.
Yeah, you want to see
I
them.
don't want to be.
It's
sort
mad
of,
though. I would have thought it was the other way around. I would have thought like hotels were like 80, 70 hours a week.
Yeah, I'd have guessed that.
I think depend. I think when the big ones, like big corporate chains like Hilton's, they want to attract people to come and work for them, so they have to sort of make it more flexible and sort of work-life balance. So
what did you go as to the Forest? What level? chef
I think I just went there as a demi chef de partie, then worked my way up to junior sous in a couple of years, and then I left there to go to junior sous at Hampton.
What was the food like at Forest at the time? Because it's like obviously it's butchers now, so it's pretty good. But
So it was back then. It was 2 rosette. And like I said, we always thought we were sort of knocking on the door of 3 rosettes, but I think the owners were content with where it was. They didn't want to probably put the level in investment into it to push it that little bit further, which we all know it needs a bit. To push that bit further, you need a bit more investment. You need an extra chef or to cover the busier days. And I think they were happy, just and content with how it was. And as chefs, we was a bit frustrated with that. We wanted to push it, but in the end, it was what it was. And yeah, it was a good standard. I enjoyed it. That's where I sort of found my passion then for like proper sort of fine dining restaurant food. I did it at the Hilton, but it was different there because it was so corporate. But at the Forest then it was sort of like your local restaurant, or with some rooms with it as well, so people could come from a bit further away if they wanted to, but it was more of a local restaurant. And then I think that sort of pushed me then to go a bit further and try and I had interviews at other places, just at the time probably just didn't work out at the time, to go to like star restaurants and that, and then found a good place at Hampton where I sort of worked for the head chef there and progressed pretty quickly up to be sous chef.
So did you know that the chef there before you left?
No, I just seen a job on the caterer and applied for it.
Oh yeah.
And I was junior. I went there as junior sous, and then the sous chef then left about 3 months later. I got her job then, and then sort of was always going to progress there. And like the head chef was going to. There was talk of him being exec chef, and then I was going to be head chef, but then that never happened. And sort of he left, another head chef come in. I worked for him for 18 months, and then he moved on, and then sort of. Must have just wanted to like that to give it to me. Then there's no choice. I forced them to give it to me, and then obviously it went pretty well.
Is there any of these chefs that have sort of give you sort of inspiration that pushed you to try and be a better chef? Like the head chefs you were working for, are there any in particular that have really sort of made you focus?
Maybe Martin, the first head chef at Hampton Manor, Martin Pern. He was very classically trained. He'd had a star in the 90s at a place called, I can't think what it's called now. Something like Worcester Way, I think, like Cotswolds. And he was like, I think he's seen something in me that sort of pushed me a little bit harder. And yeah, he definitely pushed me. I mean, the head chef before that I'd worked for that, Dean at the Forest, was really good. And then my first head chef at the Hilton, George, he was good as well. But I think with Martin, I think he just seen something in me and pushed me a bit harder than anybody else ever pushed me. So and I did all right after it. So
like, what year was this you went to Hampton Manor?
2010 I started at Hampton. So it was only about, the business was only about 12, 18 months old back then. So it's still, in terms of where they are now, I think they're like nearly 14 years old now. But look at the changes. They've constantly invested in the place, which is fair play to them for doing that. And a lot of places would put their investment in, get the reward, get it back, and then just keep draining it, to be fair. But they have consistently sort of driving it and pushing it and investing in it more and more. So
was it said to you from day one, like, listen, chef, we're here, we want a Michelin Star, and that's what
I think so. I think when they brought the property, that wasn't the initial plan, but then they got a chef in Martin Pern, who was like, this place could be like something special. He was sort of coming to the back end of his career, where he'd sort of been out of the industry for a bit, or out of that sort of top level of the industry for a bit, and he took that on, and I think it's his sort of last one song, I think, for him, and he pushed it to a level as much as he could, and then I think there had to be a few changes more to get it to the next level in terms of refinement and putting a bit more in, like getting a few more chefs and everything like that. But I think then that sort of the drive was to get a star, and then another head chef come in who had sort of really good CV on his hand and worked at some top places around the country, and he didn't, sort of, whatever reason, it didn't work with him. And then sort of I got the job. I've never worked in I've just told you my CV basically. I'd never worked anywhere with Michelin Star before. I went and did some placements. I did a stage at Solihull in Wales with Gareth Ward. That was right at the start when Gareth took over there. The previous owners were still there when I did that. I did a stage at Knife and Outlaws in Cornwall. I did a stage at Andrew Fairley's up in Scotland. But I'd never been employed by a sort of Michelin Star kitchen other than a few placements. So.
How did them stages affect you? Did you like?
Do you know what? I learnt a lot on them, but sort of, like, you go on stages and you see people go for a stage for like 3 months or a month, depending on where they're going. But I did that places there, and I thought a week was plenty to see what you need to see. I mean, in some of these places where you go like and you stage there for 6 months, you might be just stuck picking herbs for a month, so you don't learn nothing. But somewhere like Knife and Outlaw, like, let you get involved quite a lot in what he was doing, and so because it was such a small team anyway. I think there was only 4 or 5 chefs there employed, plus Nathan. And it was like, you've seen everything anyway, so it was a small kitchen, so there was nothing, you couldn't not see everything because you're all in a little tight space. It was great. But yeah, stages, they are good, yeah. I do recommend going on them if you can afford to take time out and not get paid for a week or so or whatever.
If anything, you say you haven't come from a Michelin Star background, it kind of reinforces, you know what, even though I haven't done that background, I'm still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you haven't worked there doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, as long as you respect what you're doing and you work hard at it, it doesn't matter. Like, you can definitely do it still, for sure.
Sometimes it helps to have a new perspective on things as well. Like, you do see it sometimes, when there's a bit of a family tree from one restaurant and then their chefs get Michelin stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's very similar. And then all of a sudden something new comes along.
Something breaks the mould a little bit. It's good. And now, the way I see it like now, so Darren as well, who's head chef of Hampton now, and Monty, who's head chef of Peels, together, that neither of them have ever worked anywhere that have got a star other than there, and they've retained it. So it's like, it is good to see that you're breaking the mould a bit. You don't have to go and bust your ass in London and these 1 and 2 stars in London to win a star. You can sort of do it a different way.
Was the wall garden there when you started?
Yeah, so it was there, but it wasn't sort of, it was just overgrown, like with brambles and everything in there, a few stinging nettles.
So you can make a crumble out of there, that's about it.
Right. Some nettle soup or some blackberry crumble, but that was about it. But
so did you have any part in initiating the whole?
I've tried pushing them for years and years to try and do something. To be fair, there was a couple of little plots, but the local sort of village they had their own plots there, and in the end, they politely moved them along, and then we sort of grown, and we got a garden and started growing, and then during the summer and sort of like early winter, autumn, I'd say about 80% of what was on the plate, garnish wise, from the garden. Like, we worked really hard to try and do that, and now they've took it to another level now. But they've got a team of gardeners in there. We just had one. When I was there was just one gardener who sort of worked, I think, 3 days a week to try and get it going. So, and we tried. We had to harvest that ourselves. We had to go and pick it all ourselves when we needed it. We never had someone like bringing it up for us. We had to go and do it, pick it, wash it, bring it into the kitchen. Kitchen porter going mad because you drag mud everywhere through the kitchen into a pot wash area. But so we sort of pushed hard to get it, and like in the end we was growing. I used to have 2 beds full of celeriacs there, sort of, because they take basically all year to grow. We used to do a dish with celeriac when I was there, and beetroots, we'd grow as many as we could because I had a beetroot dish that we used to change do a seasonal dish at the start of every season. That dish would come on, but we'd try and get at least a good chunk of it from the garden, so it was sort of a bit of a story on the menu.
Kind of tailor the garden towards your style of cuisine?
Yeah, 100%.
The garden influence your cuisine, like which came first?
Probably both. Yeah. So the garden was always seasonal and always sort of veg, like British sort of veg, classic British veg based in terms of garnishes for the menu. But then as sort of the garden develops, that sort of then sort of tailored the menu a lot more as well. So we used to plan it. We planned certain dishes around what was going to be coming in the garden. So we sort of look at, like I said, beetroots. We knew when the beetroot was going to be ready, so we sort of plan a dish around that, and we get a month out of that. Then beetroots from the garden. Then whatever was sort of unusable in terms of we'd sort of ferment it or something. So we used to do a beetroot juice on the menu that was like fermented, and but that was sort of the ones that the smaller beetroots that were like sort of harder to use. So we'd peel them and ferment them and get the juice out of them. So we'd use as much as we could from there, and sort of not literally waste as little as possible.
What was sort of the thinking behind it? Freshness or just convenience, or just because you could do it, so why not do it?
Because we could. I mean, where I'm going to now, my own restaurant, I'm in the middle of a town centre, so there's nowhere to grow anything there.
No window box.
No, there's no window box because there's a cover over it, so it couldn't even work. But I mean, the plan in the future is potentially get an allotment somewhere where we can do some little bits. I mean, I won't be able to do it to the extent that we did at Hampton, but I definitely want to do a few bits where we can. But there is some allotments by my house that I've ordered up already, to be fair. But I'll have to probably kick someone out of there to do it.
Kind of like the dream, though. I feel like everyone kind of one day dreams of like kicking the corporate job away and just like starting a little restaurant with a little vegetable patch.
Yeah,
like, you know?
Yeah, it's a bit cliche, isn't it? But
it's nice though, like, you know what I mean.
It's a bit cliche, but it's what we've done. It's what I did at Hampton, so it's like why not? Obviously, I haven't got the garden at the minute, but you know, hopefully this isn't my first restaurant. Like, the plan is to have another one in the future if we can, but just got to get this one to work first. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're saying that. Obviously, we'll get to Toffs and like everything that's happening now. Yeah. To say I'm eyeing up a second restaurant in all the mayhem of opening the first. Fair play to you, man.
I've got to get this one done first. It'll be a few years. Don't get me wrong, it'll be a few years, but like where I am at the minute, it's almost like it's small, so hopefully we'll outgrow it. That's the plan, to try and outgrow it so we can move on. Perhaps keep that and then do something else with it and move on to another site. That'd be the dream anyway, but we'll see.
So how did you become head chef then at PR's?
Like I said, the 2 head chefs previous sort of had moved on, and then sort of I sat down with the owner, the boss, and he was like, "We want to give it you." And then I had to sort of do a few things. That's when I went on my stages. To be fair, after that, he was like, "Obviously, you haven't got any sort of real sort of Michelin experience," so he said, "We'll sort of let you go, send you around a couple of stages," and that's what I did. So in the first 4 months of being head chef at Hampton, I spent 3 weeks away on stages, to be fair. That's why I'd built a good team around me that sort of I trusted. Darren, who's there now, so we trusted him as well to sort of step up when I went there. I had another young lad working for me at the time, Connor. He was brilliant. So I'd built a good team around me because I was part of building the team that was there as well. Even though the head chef was sort of there, a lot of them worked for Martin, the first head chef, and sort of Martin relied on me quite a lot in recruitment. I think because he was a bit older, he sort of relied on me to sort of bring younger people through a little bit more. So they'd all sort of, most of the team that were there had worked for Martin as well. So, and me as sous chef. So we sort of all knew each other really well and trusted each other. And it just worked. And then, like I said, I was only head chef, I think, just under 2 years. And then we won the Star, and it was just like...
Did you change the direction of where the restaurant was heading?
Not really, just carried on. I sort of developed my own style, I'd say. But I didn't... We always knew what the goal was. The goal was always to try and achieve a Michelin Star. And, like, there wasn't any time scale put on it when I had to achieve it, and like the owners never said if you don't achieve it, we're going to get rid of you. It wasn't like that. I think in my head I knew I had probably 3-4 years max to try and achieve it. Otherwise, I probably would have sort of moved on after that myself, and probably thought not gonna, if we're not going to do it, then we won't do it at all. So, and like I said, I'd give myself 3 years, but like I say, we did it in 2, so it was pretty. And then we got the 4 rosettes as well at the same time, which was like. That was like a massive. Well, I'm not saying the Star was a shock. You were sort of anticipating, but you never know, do you? You never actually 100% know you're going to get it. But the 4 rosettes was like, that was sort of definitely for like 1 or 2 years further down the line to get that.
Because like, that's massive as well. People don't seem to understand the rosettes are huge.
Within the industry, not
huge.
so much outside the industry, but within the industry, 4 rosettes is big. Like, there's no one, not blowing my own trumpet, but there's no one in the West Midlands who've got that. I don't think. Definitely no one in Birmingham and sort of immediate sort of Solihull, Birmingham, them areas. Like no one's ever done it. So
yeah, there's a few 3s, but
they've all got, most of them have got 3, but no one had done 4. And people say like AA are different, but they're all judging you, aren't they? At the end of the day, so
it's different in the sense that if you went up to somebody in the street and say, "I went to this restaurant, it had 4 AAs," to be like,
yeah, they wouldn't.
All right, but if you said, "I went to this restaurant, it was Michelin Star,"
yeah, they understand it a bit better.
Yeah,
in the industry, the rosette AA is pretty big.
But even then, like I still feel like I don't know if I don't feel like Michelin's the be all and end all to the customer. I don't think it determines. Like Hamden Manor for those 2 years before you won the Star, it was probably still very busy.
Yeah, no, it was good, and it's like, but you put a level and an expectation on yourself once you get that Star. The food so we won the Star in October, beginning of October, but the food was no different in the middle of October to what it was in the middle of September. But we got recognised for it now, but people expect there's another level of expectation then. So it's like we're still doing the same food we was 3 weeks ago, but we've got a Star for it now. It's no different. But
could you pinpoint anything you changed at all, like just that could have helped to get the Star?
Restraint. That'd be my word. Is like not trying to do too much with everything, and that's still my sort of food today. Like just restrain. Like if you have to put 100 things on the plate to make something taste nice, then for me, what you started with isn't right. So for me, like a piece of beetroot that we like my beetroot dish that we've done. Like it's literally just the fermented salt and beetroot, and then we do classic beetroot and goat's cheese, but we do an ice cream with the goat's cheese, and it's sort of everyone that's sort of like a talking point straight away because it's an ice cream. It's not just goat's cheese. That's for me restraint and sort of looking at something. And quite often we put a dish up in the early days, especially before we had the Star. We put a dish up and there'd be like loads of little bits and bobs on it, and be like, does it need that? Does it need that? Does that have any impact on how that tastes? So it was like, if you take it away, you're not missing anything. So it's just sort of that was the biggest thing, and that's what I'd say to any sort of chef, like when they start designing a dish, like to a young chef, is just does it need it? Does it actually need it? Is it gonna make that? It might make it look a bit nicer, but does it make it taste any better? Because that's what matters at the end of the day, what it tastes like, not what it looks like.
Very brave. I mean, it's kind of like Simon Sinek. Have you heard of Simon Sinek? The book, Start With Why?
No.
It's like a businessy book, but I use it as like everything should really start with why. So if you're taking that, you're saying, so like, why is this on the plate? It should be like, what's the why in this? Very brave. You must have been quite young at the time. Either that or you had a really easy paper round, mate.
But, I'm 35 now, so
yeah,
I was 29 when we won the Star, I think. So 28.
Relatively young for head chef.
I suppose so. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't see it like that because I was 27 when I got the. I think I was 27 when I got the head chef's job. So yeah, I suppose so. I didn't see it as young because quite often chefs were getting younger. I think it is more of a young man's game these days.
27 chef years though. They're like dog years. They're like I think I don't want to be doing like 60 hours a week when I'm
50 odd. I want to be paying somebody else to do it for me, hopefully. That would be the plan. But
I don't think anyone wants to do that.
no,
anymore.
exactly.
That's
Exactly. That's the way the
yeah.
world is, isn't it? And that's why I'm opening a restaurant to start with 5 days a week, but hopefully when it's right for the business, if I can work it out some way to make it financially viable, I want to strip it back to 4 days. And like I said at the start, I got two young girls that are sort of kids that I want to spend time with as well.
How old are they?
Got one 6 and 6 next month, and the other one's 16 months, so it's like full on.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. 16-month baby and a new restaurant.
Yeah, everyone's saying that. I didn't really think it through very well.
Just one of them would be enough.
What I was going to say was when I was about how I didn't want to just try and get your age out there. I was going to say it's knowledge beyond your years to be able to just strip it back like that and brave. Had somebody taught you that, or did you learn a hard way? Or
maybe Martin, the first head chef of Hampton, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he was very sort of classical French, and his food, his flavours was like amazing, but he probably couldn't present food in a way at the time. He was probably a bit too old school for that. And then the chef then that come in after mine, was sort of very new school, modern, and probably did, in my opinion, probably tried too hard and put too many things on the plate. So I sort of took the best from both of them and sort of met in the middle somewhere. That's how I come to my style, I'd say. Like classic French to sort of modern cooking, and then met in the middle.
Do you remember where you were when you got the Star? Like, because did they have the events then?
It was the first year. It was the first year they did the event. So,
but you got did you get an invite in the post or something?
Yeah. So I can't quite remember what happened. I think we'd been on a sort of the day before. I think we'd been on a bit of a manager's sort of away day, jolly up sort of thing. And the next day, I got a phone call. I think, and I was going in late that morning. The next day to obviously recover. We didn't do lunch, so we could get away with it. James Hill, the owner of Hampton, he rang me. He was like, "Can you come to my mum and dad's house now?" Like his mum and dad lived in the village. They owned the house. It was sort of backed onto. They've actually built their own house in the grounds now, but they had a house on the high street. "Can you meet me at my mum and dad's as soon as you can?" I was like, "This is weird." And
I sacked.
I was like, that was
What did
a little.
I say last night?
I knew it weren't that, because the week before then, we'd on that Monday we'd just been to the AA party and got the 4 rosettes before it, so I knew it weren't that. I was with my wife, and she was like, and obviously our first kid was only 6 months old then. I was like, "I've got Alison and Tyler with me." He was like, "That's fine, just bring them." I was like, "Oh, this is weird." So I got there, and he met me at the door, and he's like, "A glass of champagne." I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "We've got an invite." But at the time, we was like, "What does that mean?" Because they'd never done it before. Yeah. So he was like, "We must have done it. But this was, I think, the Wednesday or the Thursday. But he'd had the email in his inbox for 2 days. And because we'd been at the IA Awards and then been on a sort of manager's jolly up as well, he hadn't opened the email. I think it might have gone to his junk or something. So we got to his house, he was like, "Oh, we must have done it." So we arranged like the train and everything on the way. And Craig, the general manager as well, had been invited, which was a bit strange. So obviously James, myself, and Craig, the general manager, had been invited. So we sort of arranged, but he didn't come to James's house. I can't remember why. So we got there, and he was like, so we thought, well, we want to start, and then so we booked the trains and that down for the weekend. James, being James, booked the cheap train down to London. Took 2.5 hours, 2 3/4 hours to get to London, and so we're on this packed train going down to London. We're like, all 3 of us are like, we don't know what we're going for. We're thinking like we want to start, but then we get there. And we get put in like this holding room where all the chefs who have won stars are. Well, we find out they've all won stars, or they've head chefs of new head chefs of a restaurant that's already got a star and they've retained it for the first time. There's this woman, I think her name was Jane, was coming from Michelin. She was like, "Right, you're going to leave the room first, all 3 of you." But like, again, everyone else in there was chefs, so there was like Craig, the general manager, and James, the director, was like, "So why are we here?" Like, she was like, "You're going to leave the room first." And we was like, "This is weird now. They're not doing this with anybody else." She took us out of the room and was in this another little waiting area. And we're panicking now, thinking, and James, the director being James, he said, "We ain't just won some crappy award, have we? You brought us all the way down here. We're expecting." And then she was like, "You can't say that." We was like, "Well, go on, tell us." And she was like, "Just, you're going to go on the stage twice, just so you know that." And we was like, "Well, what's going on then now?" But it was the first year they did this, because it was the first year they'd ever did like an award ceremony. They did it, is it Welcome and Service Award? They do Michelin welcome and service awards, so we'd won that as well. But they announced that first, and obviously like because like the sheer panic on our faces, thinking, right, we've not won a star, we've won some award that's not actually a star, like up and coming award or something. But we're like, we've built ourselves up thinking we won a star, and then we get there, we got on the stage, we took this award. I had to sit down in the audience then, but that year it was just all London chefs and then 2 and 3 star chefs from around the country, so it weren't every chef had been invited. So I had to then sit down in the audience because it was in like a theatre style room, and I had to wait ages and ages, and I'm thinking, we haven't won a star, have we? And then it was, I think we was like second from last up on the stage or something like that. And to go up and get the star then, but then it was just like, so the morning was just like a blur, and it was like, and then in the afternoon, then when you've won the star, you go into like this room and you're having drinking and that with all the other chefs. It's like proper surreal, like talking to like Michel Roux and like the old Michel Roux senior, and then Raymond Blanc's there and like all the old boys, and sort of like, fucking hell, this is surreal. This is like, didn't know what to think of it. And then because we sort of anticipated we'd won a star, we'd arranged a party when we got back then on the night, and it was a big party.
What did it feel like to get the star?
Again, it was like, I don't know, I can't really remember now, because it was sort of such a sort of surreal thing, like something you dream of and what you want to do, but when it actually comes, like, and because it was a new thing to sort of go to an award ceremony for it, no one had ever had that before, like it was the first year they did it. The party on the night after getting back was decent. I think it was anyway. There's a couple of pictures that look decent. So.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri getting involved
Siri.
again.
Siri's on the podcast. It's so cool, I think that is, that they don't just like say, listen, you've got the award. They just give you an invite down to London.
That's it.
No, if you're fucking there, just tell them.
Yeah.
I wonder if
think they do
anyone's
now.
ever been invited and just got like some award.
No, I don't think they have, to be fair. Because I think now, like, it's done differently now, because it's like everyone's mates with everybody in the industry, isn't they? So everyone's like, do you know who's coming down today? But I think the year O'Feem won their star, we all knew Akhtar was coming down, so it was like, O'Feem's won a star then, because like that year, the second year then, when I think all the other chefs around the country kicked off then, saying, why is London being treated differently? And it's right, all London 1 stars, and then 2 and 3 stars got invited to the first year, and then at the second year everyone was like, you can't just invite the London ones just because it's in London, you've got to invite everybody. So we all went down. The second year then, I went down with like Luke, Andreas, Glyn, Adam from the Cross, and Brad didn't come with us. Brad went, I think we met Brad there, and who else was there at the time? Adam Stokes. We all went down, we had lunch and that before, and we was like, do you know who else is coming? And like Tom Shepherd was with working for Adam Stokes at the time. He was there, and he was like, I spoke to Akhtar's coming, and he's like, so everyone sort of knew then on the way down, well, Akhtar's going to start then this year.
Because Akhtar still had the same anxiety today. He was like, he said he got the invite, and then he was like, does this mean I've definitely won a star? And I think he phoned Tom to say, like, what do you reckon, mate? Do you think I've got... And they were like, yeah, mate, they're going to invite you and not give you a freaking star.
But that's obviously, for us, it was the first time it had happened, and we were like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no one's cool. Like,
no. And like, even James tried to email her back, like, because his email come from the editor, Rebecca Burr, and he was like, tried to email her back or call her, I can't remember. I think he ended up having to call her because he had to confirm that we was going. But she didn't give anything away over the phone.
When all you chefs come rolling into London, and you said you went for lunch, where did you go for lunch?
Where did we go the first year?
Because that must have been a daunting table if the chef comes out and knows everyone on there. Just like, oh shit, I've got to cook for all these.
I think it was Hyde. That was the year Hyde won their star in London as well. So, and then the year after we went the Ritz. That was wicked, to be fair.
Nice.
Yeah, I bet.
I know it's either going to go 2 ways. It's going to be somewhere like iconic, or it's going to be something like
chicken sours or something.
Or Burger King or something. Just went to Burger King.
It's only once a year, isn't it? So.
Yeah, you got to make an event of it. It's a massive achievement. Like, you can't really take it away from people. But I can imagine you're like phoning your gran and saying, "I got a Michelin Star," and they'll be like, "What? You got what?
What's that? Well done. What is it?"
Yeah, people still don't know what. Even like builders and that are working for them in a minute, doing the work, and they're like, "What? So what? How much is a steak going to cost in your place?" And like, it's hard to see.
I always get asked that. They're like,
a lot.
Whenever at work you say, "Oh yeah, this restaurant, it's amazing. I went the weekend, Michelin Star. Oh yeah, how much was the steak?" I was like,
I go in my
didn't
old
really
local.
work
I
like
go in my
Or you
own
get
local.
just tiny bits. You just get
Yeah.
loads of tiny bits of food. You go for the chip shop on the way home. You're like, no, you get enough food.
stuff.
I go in my local, at my old local where I grew up. But you can make a nice curry, can't you? Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
What's the
Probably
local?
not as good. Castle Bromwich. I grew up in Castle Bromwich, so
Oh,
the
yeah.
Farthings.
Oh, the Farthings. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably can't cook it as good as Toby ran in the Balti Garden, but I can do a decent curry. Just because I'm a chef, it doesn't mean I cook a good curry.
It's magic, isn't it? What people think. Hamden Manor. You done another few years after winning the Stars.
Yeah, about 5 years I think before I moved on.
Then it was time to start on your own.
Yeah, I think COVID came around. What was it? 2020 was it? COVID March. Then the first week of COVID, we got the first sort of dine at home boxes out. Like, I think we was the first ones, especially definitely in the Midlands, to get some out, and we did it. It was fucking hard work, to be fair. Like, I did the first week. I pretty much did it on my own. I had my sous chef come in and did pastry for me one day, I think, and then the pastry chef who lived upstairs in the event side, he helped me wash up. But I proper underestimated how hard it was going to be. Did like 150 covers. No, was it 150? I think it was about 150 covers, so like 70 boxes, 75 boxes or whatever. It don't sound a lot because you do that in your restaurant, and that's over 3 nights, but like I was on my own pretty much prepping it. It's basically impossible to get suppliers to deliver to you. Nobody wanted to do anything. So I arranged all my orders and then they didn't come, so I was then a day behind everything. It was a carnage, and we managed to get our first boxes out, to be fair. I think I worked more hours that week than I did in the 6 years prior to after winning a Star or whatever. So we did that. We went through lockdown, and then I had my second daughter in the October of COVID. I worked all the way through it up until like that October. I didn't take any furlough or anything. Everyone else got furlough, and I was like, James, the owner was like, "Do you want to take?" I took 2 weeks paternity. And he said, "Do you want to be furloughed up until sort of end of November into December?" I was like, "Yeah, fine, if you want me to." So I was at home then for like newborn baby. The missus was grateful, I think, to be fair. So we did. After the COVID, and then in the summer. Then we reopened and we did like staycations and everything. We designed a staycation package, and that's where Smoke was born. To be fair, we designed Smoke, but it was very different to what it is now. Obviously, we weren't doing events or anything. So the event chef I had there was. We designed the menu. He was going down doing Smoke 2 nights a week for the staycation guests, and then they had 2 nights in Peels, and the other 2 nights we was open to the public. And then, like I said, my second daughter was born. I had 2 weeks paternity where we were still going doing staycations, and I went back for 2 days, and then it got shut down again. So they carried on doing the boxes again. So I took furlough then, and then I did a little bit over Christmas. Then we did some like hampers for a regular guest who. A wealthy regular guest who'd bought like all his staff hampers. I helped with them hampers. I helped in the Christmas boxes. It was still not sure if it was going to be open Christmas, and obviously it was closed. And I just thought, I've been at home a lot more now for my second daughter. Where my first daughter was born 6 months before we won the Star, so it was like that year was like full on. So I never really. The first 6 months of my first daughter was like working a lot. I didn't really see sort of them 6 months. So with the second daughter, I seen all of that, and then February come, I saw James rang me, the owner, and was like, "Should we have a chat?" And I was like, "Come on then." So and it was sort of like a mutual thing because they were doing Grace and Savour. I wasn't going to be part of Grace and Savour, even though I had started sort of the design of that in the early stages of it. Me and Craig, the general manager, had sort of started planning that and what it was going to be, because the building was well on the way by the time when I was there, because obviously COVID slowed it all down. And then he said like someone else was going to be coming in and taking over from Grace and Savour. I was like, "That's fine, I'll carry on doing what I'm doing in Peels." But then it was like, if we support you in sort of you going like having some time off, I said, and you can try and do your own thing. We know you want to do it. I don't know how they knew that. I'd never publicly said it to them, but I was thinking it a lot more towards the end of the time at Hampton, especially with COVID and that all these hours that we do, even though I'm going to be doing them again like in my own restaurant, but I thought I want to do it for myself now and do it for my kids. And if I'm going to spend it all the time away from them, I want to make it worthwhile. So I took basically most of last year. I didn't work, but I was on furlough from there, and then sort of that was it. And the plan was to open earlier, but then put a proposal to the landlords it's basically Solihull Cancer, my landlords are Toffs, and they just took forever to get everything over the line. So in the end, I was just like, we'll do it in the new year now.
You'd have snapped your hand off though, wouldn't you? Like,
Well,
brand new restaurant.
Well, they did.
Solihull,
They
top shit,
they
let's go.
they contacted me. To be fair, I spoke to a couple of people about properties that might be available, and Tony Alvin actually. I don't know if you know of Tony Alvin. He's so spoke to Tony Alvin. He was like, I met literally the next day. He sent me loads of properties over that were available. I met up with him when I had a look at a couple of them. Then loads of the agents who were sort of acting on behalf of the landlords, and then some of them being Mouse Square and Solihull Council, they got in touch with me, and I sort of looked at a couple of places. I looked at this one, and I put a proposal in pretty much straight away. And then I got bloody appendicitis and nearly died.
Oh.
That was last summer. That was horrendous. But I put a proposal together while I was in hospital, like that day, like of what I wanted to pay them and whatever. But then it just took them ages to get it over the line. Like I said, that was June last year, and then I didn't get the keys until January. So it was just, but we're there now, and it's yeah.
I know you were probably pretty good at the time with Hampton Manor, how it kind of finished.
Yeah.
But do you think you would have had your own restaurant if that didn't happen?
No, not now. I think I'd still be there. If COVID hadn't come, I'd probably still be there.
So it might be a good thing.
Maybe, yeah. I think COVID's been good and bad for different reasons for different people, hasn't it? So I think, obviously, if COVID hadn't come around, I don't think I would. I'd probably still be there and doing what we was doing. But in hindsight, I'm glad it's happened. But
there's exciting times ahead.
Yeah. I've got a few more grey hairs over it, but
Yeah, I bet. So Toffs, what can people expect? What direction you going in with this?
So it's going to be the same style of food as to what I did at Hampton, because that was sort of the style I developed
That's
in my
your
time.
style.
That was my style from the time what I was there as head chef. So same ethos around ingredients. The core of it will always be British. So down for meat, veg. I'll import. Obviously, Britain now is Japanese, Chinese, Indian, Asian, everything, French, European, whatever. Like, so we influences from all around the world in it, but the core ingredients will always be from sort of England, if not a little bit further afield, Britain. But I won't be getting Wagyu beef from Japan or lobsters, Canadian lobsters or anything like that. Everything will be sort of British oils.
It's a tasting menu.
Yeah, we taste
it's
menu.
all
So I'm
tasting.
doing 3 lunches a week, Thursday to Saturday. It's going to be a 4 or 5 course option at lunchtime, and then dinner time Tuesday to Saturday. It's going to be a 5 or a 7 course, but dinner time is going to be a little bit more elaborate. So there's going to be a few more snacks before the main 5 or 7 courses. It'll be a little bit more elaborate, and like the scallop will be on the menu. Just because I think lunch trays are not what it used to be. Like, we didn't even do lunch at Hampton Manor in the end, because like, we used to, and then it was just dead. So it was like, why are we putting this time and effort into doing a lunch menu and a cheap prefix menu at lunchtime, and hardly anybody's signing up for it. So, but I think as a small business like me, I think if I can get 3 lunch services in a week and sort of fill it as much as I can, I think it's worthwhile doing. But Hampton Manor had the different facilities to be able to sort of not bother with lunch and do something else more corporate if they needed to. But in terms of the food, it's going to be very same as what I did at Hampton, same sort of flavours. I think probably the dishes I open with, 60% of them will be dishes that I've done before. And then once I'm settled in and we sort of find our feet, we'll sort of start evolving. And I do want to evolve it pretty quickly, and it might go to a longer taste menu in the future. But for now, I think just to sort of get I'm starting with a new team that one of the chefs worked with me before, but then the other chefs have never worked for me. Front of house, when I eventually find somebody, they won't have worked with me before.
I was going to say, how's the staffing going?
Chefs was like easy, got them straight away pretty much. Like, I think that's because sort of Ben, who's coming as junior sous to start with, but I think I want to progress him up to sous chef straight away as soon as I can, because I think he's almost ready for it. And then I've got another lad coming from another restaurant where he's coming from. And then I got 2 more lads coming as well. But so I was 4 chefs, including myself, in the kitchen. But front of house staff, they've just been like rocking all shit, to be honest with you. I mean,
Are you getting a sum in as well?
not to start with. I will in the future, but I just think to start with, it's one of them. They cost a lot of money. they're big salaries, so it's like I've just got a bit of guidance in my wine menu, my wine list, and I'm just going to do it with that for now. If I can find a restaurant manager that's got a little bit of knowledge on it, that'll help massively. But it's not the be all and end all to have as long as you got a nice list. I don't think I'm going to do wine pairings and that, but for me, it's not the be all and end all to start with. It's just mainly about the food for me at the minute.
Is the wine, is that sort of, because Peel's went down sort of an organic
Yeah.
type route. Are you taking that route with the wine?
Not necessarily. I mean, in the future I might do it, but it's not necessarily my thing. Like that was something that James, the owner, loved, and Sam at Wine Freedom. He's great at what he does. But it's not going to be definitely, because I think you can isolate a few people with that, because I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on natural wine is, but some of it is like funky stuff, and it's like.
I'm a fan. I know plenty of people that aren't.
Yeah.
And we like Sam. I go to Wine Freedom quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do like this stuff, but I can understand why some people don't automatically get it.
I think it can be, but it can be a little bit, because I think people, when you say natural wine, people automatically think of that the funky stuff, and it's cloudy and unfiltered, and it's a bit, everything tastes like cider, but it's not all like that. But and most of it isn't like that, but then some of them are like that. But so it's like, that's what you initially think when you think natural wine, but so that's why I think people are put off with it. I've had actually guests ask me, like, are you doing natural wine like they did at Hampton? And I was judging what they were saying. I was like, no. Oh, that's good. Right. So I've had a few people say that
as well, isn't it? Because Solihull, I can imagine the Solihull types. I say Solihull, so I went to school in Solihull, and I now live in Solihull, so I can say this. But the Solihull types probably aren't going to buy into.
Nah, not necessarily. I think you need to stick to your sort of classics to start with. Like, I'm not even going to do Prosecco by the glass. That's probably controversial, but I don't think Solihull probably want Prosecco by the glass. If they did, there'd be a Prosecco bar in Solihull, and there's not.
There's no wine bar whatsoever.
No, there's one in Resorts World, but there's not a Prosecco bar in Solihull. I don't think the one in Resorts World's there anymore, to be honest with you. But
yeah, I see a point, but then I wouldn't judge Solihull by what it's got, because it doesn't have a lot.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
And that's sort of one of the, when I was sort of looking for a venue, a property to go into, I looked at the rents and the leases that people wanted, and it was just extortionate. And I was like, this is why there's no independence in Solihull. And there is a few more now, but that's because they must have done the same as me and pushed them hard on getting the rent down.
Like, you're going to be there, and there's a few other places. Like, Solihull's getting better.
A lot of, and if you speak to Tony Alvin, a lot of the places in Touchwood now are also independent. Like, I'm saying there's one guy who owns quite a lot of them, but they're all different outlets, different cuisines, different concepts. But there is a few more coming into Solihull. But then you have got now, where I am is like Carluccio's. You can see Carluccio's in the corner from me, and then next door to that is Coates Brasserie, which I think is part of the Ivy Group. But the reason Solihull struggles is because the rent's so high. A guy come into me today in the shop. He was a bit of a funky character, to be honest with you. He was looking at in the window, and he come in. He said, "Can I come in?" I was like, "Yeah, come in." And he was like, "I used to have this shop back in the early 90s. I was just seeing what you're doing with it." And he was like, "Is it going to be a restaurant?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, I used to sell records and like funky clothes. I think he was like a bit of a raver. And he was like, and he told me, and he was like, he tried to get what I didn't tell him. He was like, "If you don't mind me asking, what's your rent you're paying here?" I was like, "Well, I do mind you asking, to be fair." He was like, "I was paying 500 quid a week back in the 90s for this." I was like, "Fucking hell, I'm not paying that now." So he's going back like best part of 30 years, and he's paying more in rent than I am now. But that's how Solihull is. It's just been so driven up. But I've got quite a lot off my rent compared to what they wanted. But they need to do that to get independence back into Solihull, and that was sort of what I pushed them for.
Taste Collective just there as well.
Yeah, I love Taste Collective. It's amazing.
Was that any part in...
A little bit, yeah. That sort of helped me choose it a little bit, because where I am, I'm in between the high street and there, like slap bang in the middle of it, and it's like, there's the Mason's pub right in the corner, so if you want to go for a pint before you come to a restaurant, you can go there. And there's, like I said, it is, and it's at the top end of the church end of the high street, so it is away from sort of the chain, like Weatherspoons and whatever. There's a few like...
Oh, they just keep moving the Yates around. It'd be somewhere else next week. Yates.
yeah. Yates is around the corner. Pop World as well, isn't there? Yeah. Used to be. I can't remember what it used to be. But it's at the top end of the church end of the high street. So
you always find that when a few good things move into one little area, then it does start to get better and better. Like, at least you can go to Grains for a cocktail and then come to
that's it. I was at Taste Collective on Friday. I was there the week before as well with a mate. Like, the pizzas there are amazing. They do that Samora, I think it's called. The pizza.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Strip club burgers are amazing as well. They're wicked. But they all care about what they're doing as well. There might be like street diners, like street food places, but they're all using, like strip club are using the same butcher as what I'm going to be using. So it's like they're using Aubrey Allen for their meat. And I went to any burger place, I think they'd be using Aubrey Allen, because Aubrey Allen, they're expensive because they use the best stuff. So it's like, and just a burger place in Solihull was using that sort of produce. So it's like, it is good. And that Taste Collective was sort of a good part of why chose that sort of spot because it's right there, and it's sort of, I suppose it's the in thing, isn't it, at the minute, street food. It has been for a while. I thought it'd die down eventually, but it's still going strong, isn't it, to be fair?
They're always busy. I get takeaways from there.
Strip club, yeah.
Stuff like that delivered to my house, and there's always a good wait, and they're always, when you chat to them, they're always saying they're busy.
Yeah.
Were you apprehensive about just doing a tasting menu and not offering a la carte? Or?
A little bit, but I think I'd be sort of being sort of untrue to what I'd do if I did do it a la carte, because even though when we won the Star at Hampton, we did have an a la carte menu, but we was always trying to push away from it, because even before we had the Star, I'd say 75% of the people had tasting menu, and then when we got the Star, it was more like 85 to 90%. So it was like pointless having an a la carte. So now I'm going in at lunchtime. I'm doing a 4-course and a 5-course, and the 4-course is going to be a choice on main course. So I'm offering a little bit of choice to try and get that. Maybe the sort of the lunchtime guests are probably a bit of an older generation, so maybe get them into it. But then for dinner, I'm offering a choice. There's a 5-course and 7-course menu to choose from, so there is a bit of choice, but it's not in terms of what you get, just how many of what you get.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad. I think I speak for both of us. We're very glad that you're doing that. Like, I think some places they kind of sacrifice their soul a little bit
to do a la carte, and I think
like,
I hate it when you see
money, like, you know.
I hate it when you see a tasting menu made up of dishes from the a la carte. Yeah, I think if you've got to do an a la carte menu to get bums on seats, then there isn't really another way around it. But that's not what I want to do. So it's like, I do see a menu. I can't say the last time I seen a menu, but it's like sometimes you see it and it's like, that's what we used to have to do at Hampton, make a taste menu out of the a la carte menu, and that's why we sort of made the decision in the end, right, if we do just that, it's going to be better. The end product is going to be better, because I haven't got to think about proportions as much as what you do. So you can't just do half a portion, half a main course portion, just because you want it as a main course on a 7-course menu. But that's what you end up having to do when you're designing a menu like that. So, and I think tasting menu it shouldn't be just 7 dishes as well. It needs to be, each dish needs to be able to follow the next one, lead off from each other. Not that they need to be similar, but you can't have something that packs a massive punch and then have something that then is quite delicate afterwards. It's got to be sort of balanced all the way through.
It should be a story, and it should be an example of like the chef.
Yeah,
saying,
exactly.
This is my style of cooking. This is all me.
Yeah.
This is the story. And then I think a la carte, you can kind of just dilute it down a bit, and then it's like, I don't. For me, I'm just probably lazy. I don't want to choose. I just want somebody. I want to sit down and have no choice and just say, "Give me your 7 best dishes."
Yeah. Here's my money. Fucking impress me.
And that's it. So I'm only having 4 chefs in the kitchen, so I know now I've only got 7 dishes plus a cheese course we're going to work on, and then a couple of snacks and a petit four at the end to work on. Whereas if I had more chefs, then I can when I got the capacity to get more chefs, then I might do 10 courses, because then I've got another chef to help prep them extra courses. But as it stands, I'm going to have 7 dishes, then some snacks now, and each chef, then including myself, has only got to do 2 or 3 dishes each. Whereas you do an a la carte menu, you got a larder section, a garnish section, a sauce section, a pastry section, a canopy section, and they've all got 5-6 dishes each to prep, and it becomes sort of like you need more chefs then to do it. So for me, having, again, the word I said earlier, restraint, to sort of strip it back and bring it back, it sort of works in it's not just for, it works in terms of business model, in terms of your style of food. There's more than one reason to just do a tasting menu. It's sort of business decisions as well as, I don't know, quality.
Yeah. Is it a large restaurant?
26 seats, so it's small as it goes.
But that's quite helpful though, because you only have to find 26 customers. So
that's it, yeah.
You only have to find 26 people who want a tasting menu.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
So it's
if
like,
you had a big restaurant, you might have to
I
try
can
and
see,
please
the
everyone.
kitchen's open plan. I can see every seat in the restaurant. Well, there's no seats there at the minute, but when it's there, I'll be able to see every seat in the restaurant.
You try and please too many people, and you please no
exactly,
one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And food is such a subjective thing. You ain't going to please everybody. Like I know, I've had conversations with guests afterwards, and they might have said something wasn't right, or they might not have liked something. Some of them are just saying, some of them get it and they say, I just think like that. It's my personal. But other people are trying to tell you it's wrong, and I'm like, it's not wrong. And you're not wrong for not liking it, but just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's wrong, because food's subjective. And I know what's right and wrong about the food that I'm serving. So if I knew it was wrong, then I probably wouldn't say I guess it was wrong. But I know that another 20 people had that dish exactly the same as them. So food's subjective at the end of the day, same as music and football.
Yeah,
Football refereeing
opinion,
decisions.
it?
It's an opinion, isn't it?
Why the name Toffs?
So, well, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek for two reasons, really. So, my dad's one of 10 from Shard End in Birmingham. Obviously, my surname's Palmer. Back when they was growing up, there was a brand of confectionery called Palmer's, but they made a lot of toffee, so it was Palmer's Toffee. And then they was all nicknamed Toffee then, basically. Like, he's got 6 sisters and 3 brothers, but all the brothers were nicknamed Toffee, so then it was shortened to Toff. And then start of last year, sort of when I was leaving Hampton, my dad was going through bowel cancer, so he was quite ill. Even though now you wouldn't have known there was, even when he was going through it, wouldn't have known there was fuck all wrong with him. He was one of them old school blokes, just gets on with it. And so we sort of, obviously there's a bit of a scare in the family, and I was already sort of having this decision to come to this, and that's where the name come from, Toffs. And then Solihull was known for being a bit toffee, like it's posh, so it sort of works. It just works, and people love it. I've even spoke to some like really like Solihull people, like posh Noel and Dorwich people, and they sort of love the name of it because it's sort of, they know.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's where the name comes from, and that's where, I don't know if you've seen the branding, there's a little sweet in the O for the branding. That's sort of where it comes from.
You've completely self-funded this. You haven't.
Yeah.
You've
So
got a few family members chucking in.
So my parents have helped me. My dad's sort of a 40-odd year Land Rover stalwart with a decent pension, so he's sort of helped me and told me I don't need to pay him back until the business is making money, because they're happy and comfortable now. Let's go on, well, not so much since COVID, but they go on 3 or 4 holidays every year. He's retired now. So basically I said, just pay us back when you can, when the business is ready. So I've got a good chunk of it out of that. And then obviously prices have gone up and everything, and I'm over budget. But then I didn't want to go back to my mum and dad and put more pressure on them. So because I haven't got any, I have gone and got some funding, but through my own sort of loan. I've sort of loan a loan out to do it. So I've not.
Was that a conscious decision though, not to go through funding? Because you must have had people lined up. I'm sure. Like,
I've had
your
offers. I had a few
reputation,
offers. Yeah, I had a couple of offers. I've had a guy who's helped me out with my my branding and my website and that, who's helped me sort of. He's done that sort of as a mate's rates, and all I've got to do is look after him when he comes into the restaurant. Like he said, pay for all my drinks when I come in, but for whenever I come in, just sort of sort me out. I said that's fine by me.
You'll be there every Friday and Saturday now.
But do you know what though? This was my worry, because my missus don't know him, and she was like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, like, he used to come to Hampton like once, twice a year maybe, because he's such a busy bloke. Like he don't get time. So I said, "Yeah, let's do it then." And I don't know how much it would have cost me to do, maybe $2-3 grand, but I haven't had to pay for that. But he wanted to invest in me, but it was like he wanted me to buy a property to do it. He didn't want to do it that way. And I said, look, and then I've had a couple of other offers, but I was just like, I don't want to work for someone. I want to work for myself. And I think you get an investor. Yes, they might be a silent investor, but you've still got to show them the figures at the end of the year. And I didn't want that. I wanted to sort of be able to say it's mine. And
you get an investor, and the investor's like, I was chatting to a few people who I know went to the restaurant, and they were saying you should have done a la carte.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just like, it's one of them. So that's why I've sort of said, let's do it.
It's a nice touch. It feels like a family business.
It is very much so. Like my wife's got involved. She was like not reluctant, but she was nervous about it, and she didn't really want to do too much. But now she thought the closer it's got to the date, she's like, she's probably gonna have to take a month off work to help us get open with front of our staff and that, because they're so hard to come by. But she's actually coming around to thinking like in a couple of years, sort of dropping down and having a lot more involvement in it. She's a director on the business, but she wasn't going to be involved in a way other than keeping me in check, but stop me spending the pennies. But she's actually considering coming into it a little bit more now, which surprised. She only said it to me last night. She said, I think I want to get involved a lot more than I initially did. And I was like, you sure? I thought we wanted to keep her working, so we had that sort of fallback, like a guaranteed PAYE salary coming through the door, and sort of be a little bit more comfortable. But now she's like, I think when we're established, she's like probably going to jack her job in and come in and get involved a bit more. I don't know how that'll work, but
I hope her boss isn't listening to this.
Yeah, I think he's been really good, to be fair, her boss, but she's management anyway as well, so so she's considering it, but we'll see how it goes. I'd like her to be fair. I didn't think I would at first, but just because I think working together. But now we have worked really well together through getting this set up. So I did say to her, I said, we're going to shout and argue with each other a lot, but I think we just got to put it to bed at the end of the day and then just get on with it. But and we have shouted and argued a lot about things, but it's still going well.
Oh, that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Without a restaurant.
Without a restaurant, yeah.
It's seen it work though. Like, you know, Stu up in Docket, like that work. They're a great couple. Like,
yeah, we've seen a couple of couples, and it can.
Brad and
work
Ollie
really
at
well.
Carter's, they work
Brad and
amazing
Ollie,
together.
Ben and
as well.
Sophia, Le Petit Bois. It does work.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, we don't see what happens, obviously, when they go out. But it makes a nice atmosphere in the restaurant.
Well, you're there that long as well. At least you're getting to see them.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, another reason we done was because we got 2 kids. If I'm at the restaurant all the time, she needs to be at home. I don't want to be leaving them with grandparents all the time.
Yeah.
So if she does come in, it'll be for more like the lunchtime services. So when it is like the kids are at home, it will be then. So like she'll never be involved 100% in the restaurant doing every service, because as a family that just don't work. So
Not trying to put your head on the block here, but what's the aim? Is it a Michelin Star?
yes, it is, but at the minute I just want to get open, start cooking food, and do what I'm not cooked now for nearly 12 months. Like I said, I did some pop-ups before Christmas, but it's different.
It's a
to
mad
cooking.
question.
Yeah.
Like, how do you can't really open aiming for a star. Like, you got to do your thing and hope that it's good enough to get a star.
Like we won a star at Hampton when I was the head chef there, so why would I not open my own restaurant and not? I'd be lying if I said no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
put my head's on the block now, innit? So
I knew it was a bit of a loaded question there. And that's why I leave it to the end. You leave them questions to the end.
is this the end? Then?
If the chef walks out, then at least you've still got a whole podcast to go with. That's one of the first things I learned. That was. When does it open? When's Toffs open?
It's supposed to be 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
we've got a fully booked restaurant that weekend and the week after, to be fair. So the week after that, I think, but just need my power to be.
Is that every day, including the Tuesdays?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
I think there's a couple of seats here and there, but I think pretty much, yeah.
I'm glad you're open on Tuesday. That's a good touch. There's hardly anything open Tuesdays. am I?
Not anymore, no. I think since COVID, everyone's gone to 4 days, haven't they? But
Bad for you, but
I think-
nice for us.
I think that, like I said, that will be the plan, to try and go to 4 days eventually, I think. But I just think opening a new restaurant, I think like Tom Shepherd in Lichfield, he's started off at 5 days, but now he's stopping Sunday lunches now, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
That's
So-
the way to
So
do it,
that
don't
way,
they?
yeah,
Get your
that's all
star
right.
and then that's
But I
it. Sunday
never
lunch
ever wanted
crack.
to open Sunday lunch. I hate Sunday lunches, like working. I don't mind going out every now and again, but I think we had it off air about cooking Sunday lunch. Like, you cook a Sunday lunch better at home sometimes than going out. Like,
Yeah.
And as a chef, when you cook Sunday lunch, like at 12:30, it's beautiful, but then come 3 o'clock when the last guest is turning up, it's just not as good as it was at 12:30, because it's just how it works.
Yeah,
so.
that beef's been there a while.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I hated working Sundays, and as head chef, Sundays off, and I never wanted to change that. So yeah,
Your own boss, you do as you want now.
yeah,
mate.
exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up, or
Don't think so.
we've done well over an hour now? You know. So-
Have we?
Yeah,
Everyone says
Fucking hell.
that.
I know it's
Goes
mad,
so
doesn't it? It
quick.
just flies by.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
a busy man, and
Yeah.
you don't want to take all of your evening.
So we just got some quick questions at the end,
Go on then.
just about you.
Just a fun way to end the
Just a fun way
podcast.
to end
Carl's
it.
got
It's
these
just shit I want to know about people. What's your favourite movie?
Independence Day.
The first one.
Yeah, Will Smith one.
Yeah. What's your favourite TV show?
Peaky Blinders just started again. Innit? So
Yeah, big
even
fan.
though I'm a Villa fan, Peaky Blinders.
Do you have a favourite cookbook?
I think Ramsay's 3-star chef sort of proper opened my
Yeah,
eyes up to sort of
the world.
just
Of,
the world,
culinary world.
culinary world. No, I've had it. I was working before that, but I think I seen that book and I was like, what? And the recipes most of the recipes you can actually do as well. Where like the Fat Duck book's amazing, but I spent a fortune on it when I couldn't really afford it years ago. But even in a professional kitchen, you can't cook half of it. So
no, I've
it's
bought
like-
a couple of books. Like, I spent £80 on the book.
Yeah.
Looked at it and gone, I ain't gonna be able to cook shit.
Yeah,
out
I
of
think
this.
in terms of sort of making me think about how I cook, like Ramsay's, but yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favourite band or artist?
Loads. I like indie, and rock. So love the Beatles. Love listening to the Beatles.
Did you watch the documentary on Disney?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
You gotta watch it. It's
Yeah, I know.
really good.
It's sort of
mental.
on my
Just
list
watching
to
them
watch
come
it.
out with the songs, man.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, it's crazy good.
You know what? Like, I never got Beatles. Like, my family never really listened to Beatles. But when I go to the gym now, I decided to, when I'm on the treadmill, just put on an old album that I should have listened to but never have. So I stuck on the White Album the other day.
Yeah.
That's a good
Listen,
shout.
And for the first 2 songs or 3 songs, and I was like, what the fuck is this, man? Where's the hype? I don't get it. And then, like, all of a sudden, then I can't remember what the first song after that was, then the 4th song, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is.
What amazes me about it is you listen to it, and you might, obviously, they've got such a back catalogue, and it's like way before my era, but you listen to them, and like, it's still proper relevant now. Some of the music, like you listen to some of the music, and it's still really
especially
relevant.
the last stuff, really, really.
It's still
good
really
stuff.
relevant. You can see what people say. They sort of invented sort of modern music.
But the first song on that album,
And I'm
is,
not any
USSR.
Yeah, I'm not any music
Relevant.
expert. I just like listening to it, but you know, I can't play any sort of instrument or anything like that.
No. Do you have a favourite beer?
Just a lager.
Normal lager, any brand?
Hate craft beer.
Yeah, not a fan.
No.
So there'd be no craft
You
beer.
looked at me then like I was like,
No, that's unusual for a chef.
You don't ever
though.
hear of it
I hate
many
craft beer. I
times.
find it so overrated. That's one of the things, but just normal European lager. I love it.
No, can't go wrong. What's your favourite big fast food chain?
KFC.
Nice. What's your favourite takeaway?
Indian. No, I don't know. Not really got one.
No.
Oh, just any of them. But I love going out for an Indian.
Where'd you go?
Probably
for an
Strict Club Burgers at the minute in Solihull.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong there.
Deliveroo.
Do you have a local Indian you want to tell us about? That's any good?
Not local to me, to be fair, but local to where I used to live. Kismet in Castle Bromwich, Shard.
Someone's told me about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the lad I
decent.
work with told me about
Yeah.
that. It's good.
It's opposite the Bradford on the Chester Road.
Nice.
It's decent.
What's your favourite dish that you cook at home?
Roast chicken and chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. loads of
Anything
mayo.
special? How do you do it?
Nothing.
Just roast it.
Just roast
put some
it.
chips
Loads
on.
of salt, chips, peas, home cooked chips.
You know, it sounds great.
Everyone asks me that, and that's like roast chicken, chips, mayonnaise.
Sorted. What would you be doing now if you weren't a chef?
Oh God, I don't know. I could always do a lot. I was always half decent at sports. Not really good, but probably some sort of fitness related. Even though you wouldn't look at me now and think that, but when I was younger, I was fitter. But I don't know. I've never really thought about doing anything else, so it's difficult
hard
to
to
sort of
say.
answer that question. But yeah,
What's your favourite food destination in the world that you've been to?
New York.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big fan.
yeah, I love New York. Got married there, so
Oh wow.
yeah. But yeah, so first year we got married there. We went to 11 Madison Park. That was insane. Then we went back a couple of years later. Then we did 3 1-stars. No, yeah, there was all 1-stars at the time. But one of them's now a 2. The Modern at the Museum of Modern Art, and we did River Cafe, which was bang average. To be fair, I can't remember the other place. That must have been bang average as well. But yeah, but there's so many places to go in New York where you can find, even if it's not a star, I'd like to go and eat food. It's insane, but yeah, New York. And I went to Franzen in is it Stockholm? Yeah, and that was.
A lot. This place comes up a
That
lot.
was-
And these
tell you
questions,
what,
these
like-
questions, Franzen's come up more than anywhere
I think
else.
because it got a 3rd star a few years back, didn't it? And
Did you go with all the rest of the chefs?
No,
you didn't?
I went the year before that.
Oh, did
I
you?
got invited to that, but I couldn't make it at the
Oh,
time.
gutted.
Probably couldn't have afforded it either, to be fair, because I didn't pay for this. James, the owner of Hampton, paid for it. We did
It's pricey there, isn't it?
what's it called? R&D. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at Stockholm. I thought I'd like
Yeah,
a weekend in Stockholm.
Sweden. I've done Faviken as well. It's gone now, Faviken. That was different. I wouldn't say it's the best food I've ever eaten, but the whole experience is pretty special. And I think that's where, like, a Grace and Savour, what James done at Grace and Savour, is sort of, you got quite a bit. It's the same as me. He says the food wasn't the best food he's ever eaten, but the package and the inspiration, like the sort of whole experience, is what I think has inspired Grace and Savour a little bit at Hampton.
Was that the chef who's got his own restaurant again now? Nicholas
Is
Escadet or so?
No, it's Magnus Nielsen. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah.
It's in like arsehole to nowhere
Yeah,
in Sweden.
yeah.
Like we had to drive to Gatwick to get a plane from Gatwick to Stockholm, and Stockholm on another plane from Stockholm to somewhere else, and another 3 or 4 hour drive then to get there. And it's literally in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I looked
in
at a
Sweden.
weekend. The flights are all right. The hotel's all right. But then the food is ridiculous. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I can't go to that. Because I wanted to get Escadet and the other one, Franzen. I was like, yeah, I could do that on a weekend. And I was like, no. I'm not bored.
Remortgage to do.
Do you have a favourite restaurant or bar in Birmingham?
Pure Bar.
Pure Bar's a good show. Food's great as well.
You know, it's craft beer. There's one
I was
on
going
there.
to say you
One on
said no to craft
There's
beer.
one on there that I don't mind. I can't remember what it's called though. And
Nice.
The purity lager, innit? Gotta be
I
Do an unfiltered lager. That's nice.
don't think it's I don't know.
No.
But it's all right.
awesome.
That's my questions.
Happy with that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much, Rob.
Yeah,
No,
thank
no
you very much for coming on.
Best of luck with Toffs. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Not just saying that
Just
because
get
you're
you in
sitting
when
in
you,
front of
as
the
soon as you
screen.
get in.
Something exciting in Solihull, man. I'm
It's about
well up
time.
for it. Best of luck for it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it. Cheers. Cheers for having me.